He's kind of like his personal agent now. Yeah.
Oh, I know.
Here we go.
Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Looks over the middle, second guesses, fires, throws. Does he make the catch in the end zone? Yes! Touchdown! Oladipo to win it.
Another one!
He got
Another
it!
one!
Oladipo!
Another one!
Huge hole. He's at the 30. He's going to go. 10, 5, touchdown. Jonathan Taylor.
Worked out by Burke. Bounces into Cody. Puts it up. Scores!
Now, from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, here's your host, Jim Coyle.
Good Tuesday or morning, day. How are you?
Good morning.
Hope you're having a great day. Good day. Good Tuesday afternoon. Tuesday, it's going to be a beautiful day. Another beautiful day. Yesterday was incredible. The weather's going to be incredible all week. Lots of great things to get to talk about going on. I got a great special guest today. Might as well just let it out. Should we let it out of the bag yet?
Why not?
John the producer. What's
I think the cat's already out of the bag.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay. Well, great. Dick Vitale joining us today. Awesome. Looking forward to it. Big time, baby. PTPer.
We can talk about Mike Woodson and the new staff and the new direction of Indiana. And he,
Looking forward to getting that.
Dickie V's a treasure. First met him in 2003 when I was covering Florida. He came up to games quite a bit because, as you know, he's got a place down there in Lakewood Ranch, Sarasota area. Really does a great job every year with regards to cancer research, raising money for cancer research through the V Foundation. If you've ever been to one of his galas, I went to one in 2009 when Billy Donovan was a keynote speaker. It's just, some of the stories, the videos are heart-wrenching, the testimonials in dealing with, childhood pediatric cancers, which he raises money for. I mean, it's amazing stuff. But we'll talk quite a bit of hoops, too, with him because he is the dean. I mean, he's a guy. I grew up watching Big East basketball in the 1980s, and it was Dick Vitale as an analyst in the early days on ESPN and Hall of Famer as a broadcaster, and well-deserved.
Oh, man. Back in the days of ESPN's early days, the 79, the 80s, that bald, he had that bald dome, and you talk about on full energy. The dude, he's still on full energy, but man, if you go back and listen to a tape from 1980 and they got to cut him back in half speed. You could replay his at half speed. It would be normal. He is all jacked up, but
he captivated the passion of college basketball. I think that's a thing in the 80s. And, it was, we can go back and we may sound like a bunch of old funny nutties now as we're getting older, Jim. But, I mean, the game in the 80s was really, the number of unbelievable teams, the Big East, the Big Ten, obviously with Indiana, the ACC with North Carolina. The game was better because guys stayed longer, too. You didn't have the one and dones I remember when Kenny Anderson was the first 2 and done in 1990 at Georgia Tech, and it was a big deal. It was just a much it was a much better game because the teams were more cohesive.
Good morning, Sam, joining us from Winter Garden, Florida, Magic Kingdom's backyard. That doesn't sound bad at all, does it?
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. Miss my Florida days. It's from time to not this time of year though. Florida from May until September is a sauna. The humidity and so forth. So this time of year, it's nice to be up here in the Midwest.
Yeah, wherever if you're joining us, let us know. Hit us up if it's on Facebook, YouTube. Most people are watching on YouTube. Of course, we're on radio, so a lot of people listening to us on radio. But some people have joined us to enjoy watching it on YouTube as well. Sam says the awesome misses going to Assembly Hall though. RBO Sprints, morning guys from Lake Cumberland. Man, everybody out and about. We're at the wrong place, Kevin. Everybody's on vacation out at the lake. Sam,
Lake Cumberland,
welcome from the class of 86.
Yeah. Lake Cumberland is down by Kentucky, right?
It is. It actually, I think that's part of Land Between the Lakes, and it splits mostly in Kentucky, but partly in Tennessee.
Yep. Yeah, beautiful country down there. I've heard some people
Absolutely
down there and go down
big
to the
houseboats,
lake
man. Get the houseboats, go down, tie them up. It's that time of year. It is that time of year. For those that don't have to work all the time, that fortunate.
Can you?
Then there's us. Kevin.
Yeah, exactly. We're the working stiffs. Can you swim there or no? Or is it?
Yeah. It's yes,
Does it
absolutely.
have snakes in it like Lake Monroe?
Have what?
Does it have snakes like Lake Monroe?
Well, they all have snakes somewhere, but yeah, it's great fun. Lots of people go down there, have a great time, get on those houseboats, man. They're rocking it. So yeah, but the rest of us, we're back here working, and I'll keep going on, keep working. The funny thing is, I think maybe because of COVID. No, I'm sure because of COVID. This normally summer is the slow period, and it's slower. Don't get me wrong. I'm not complaining. It has definitely allowed us to catch our breath, but normally it really slows down, and you can kind of really. Not this summer. It's still kind of going, man. We got these all-star games that boom right on top of each other, and because it's the first time where fans are back and all of that, things are actually picking up steam. The recruiting visits. Speaking of which, Indiana is unbelievably busy. They had 3 guys in over the weekend, and of course, you had the beginning of visits yesterday. Go to thehoosier.com. You can find that. Alec Lasley is on top of that, but they're beginning to host even more kids, I think. Let's see. Kyle Filipkowski, Justin Taylor. I think that starts today. This week marks a gigantic recruiting week for Mike Whitson in Indiana basketball. Top 50 recruits, Kyle Filipkowski and Justin Taylor, begin their official visits. They're scheduled for the 15th and the 16th, which that's today and tomorrow. Both players expected to arrive yesterday. So
you remember 2 years ago we covered the Indiana team camp and it was open to the public. I'm guessing because of COVID, maybe it might not be.
They don't have a team camp.
But they're not doing a team camp. Okay, yeah. But it was really neat. I was up at Southport High School on Saturday, and it was pretty cool to be able to do the face-to-face interviews again, right? Last week.
Oh, absolutely.
And not do it over the Zoom and over the screen. It was kind of nice to be able to have that interaction. And hopefully we'll be getting back to more of that as the year progresses. And as people get vaccinated and we're getting out of this thing, and we're getting slowly and surely back to normal interactions. Because, to me as a journalist, I don't know about you, Jim, but the face-to-face in person, there's just more of a
all the difference in the world, man.
Yeah, no question.
All the difference in the world without question. But those are 2 big visits. They just had, the 3 guys in over the weekend. But Taylor, of course, is of St. Anne's, Belfield, and Virginia. He's ranked number 54 in the Rivals 150 class of 2022 rankings. He's the number 13 small forward. Filipkowski from Wilbraham and Monson, Massachusetts, ranked number 48 in the Rivals 150 class of 22 rankings. He's number 6 power forward. So both these guys, big guys. Filipkowski is 6'10", 230, big dude, man. So it's the amount of talent that has come through here already is already an upgrade. Yep. That's the thing. I think I sent something out last night that just, I don't think there's been a time. I don't know that there's been a time. I sent this to Alec Lasley. I don't know that there's been a time. How long do you got to go back, if ever, where this much potential talent has come through in this short a span? Because when Bob Knight recruited people, he didn't really recruit them. He just landed them, if you know what I'm saying. If he extended, hey, you want to play for IU? Yeah. It wasn't really a song and dance much with Bob Knight. It just kind of, I'm not saying he got everyone that he went after. He got most. So it wasn't that deal. So now you got these guys coming through. And I know that Crean, he didn't have a ton of big name guys come through. he made his bread and butter off of finding the gyms and sprinkling in a Thomas Bryant here and there. But the amount of talent that has been through here just in the last 2 weeks, from how high they are ranked, I don't know if that's happened. It damn sure didn't happen under Archie.
Yeah, and I think it's, again, national, which is interesting because it's going away from, the inside out strategy that Archie had. Now you're bringing in players from throughout the country to come and visit. And it might be also a sign that the thinking of the talent base in Indiana, where it is now compared to maybe where it was 3 or 4 years ago when you had a Romeo Langford and a Trace Jackson Davis. Do you have that kind of impact player on the horizon the next couple of years? Here's the thing, too. I had an interesting conversation with Blake Wesley, who's going to Notre Dame, and he talked about I asked about the Big Ten and about Indiana and Purdue, and he brought this up, and this is something that I've heard from Jeff Rabjohns as well, about it fitting his style and not wanting to get beat up in the Big Ten, which I thought was kind of interesting because it's a more physical brand of basketball. So I think it takes kind of a tough-minded kid to go to Indiana as well, because that rep is out there that you got to be you're going to get banged around a little bit in this conference. It's not an easy conference to go through. Certainly there's a lot of competition, but it was I thought that was interesting, an interesting aspect over the weekend. And speaking of Blake Wesley, because if you remember, Indiana was in on him and it didn't work out, and he decided to stay close to home to Notre Dame, and he'll be playing for the Fighting Irish about 15 minutes from his home.
Yeah, there's a ton of kids from Indiana that are not going to be playing for Indiana. Purdue is going to be the school that's loaded up on Indiana kids, and that's okay. I mean, that will come around because if they're good enough to play at Indiana and they're from Indiana, they will more than likely be at Indiana going forward. There's going to be a lull right now because of the past regime that could not basically land Trey Kaufman. I got to be honest with you, this is maybe a hot take, but Trey Kaufman is not Trey Kaufman is not a Trace Jackson Davis. He's got a shot that Trace Jackson Davis doesn't have, but he doesn't have the game inside. I don't think he doesn't want to play inside. I don't think he likes it down there.
No, I talked to him. By the way, he banged up his finger a little bit in that game. He didn't play the second half of the senior game on Saturday night. I was there. Had his finger in a bandage. So, I'm sure Matt Painter's not too pleased about that as he starts workouts this week. He might be on the shelf a little bit. But when I talked to Trey, he talked a lot about playing the three, being a small forward and so forth. But I really thought when I watched him, we both watched him over the summer, coming up that Indiana Gatorade Player of the Year season, he just looked dynamic where he could do things inside and out. Does not look quite that same level of dynamic player that I saw during the Indiana All-Star Series this week. Something's missing a little there, but we'll see if he picks it back up.
Yeah, and the recruiting for next year is so difficult because you don't know what you're gonna need. You don't know what holes you're going to have to fill. You can assume Trace Jackson Davis, but that's an assumption, and that's it. After that, you don't know. You don't know if Tamar Bates is going to be one and done. No idea.
Well, you talked to Jalen Washington too, Gary, and he's a guy. Talk about an in-state guy. That's a guy that has a potential impact and could be that big guy that can come in and contribute right away.
Yeah, absolutely, and we'll see how that turns out. But that's the fun of the recruiting game, and it is definitely that. It's a game. Hey, I think we got to take a break. We're late. Got to get him back for Mike DeCourcy joining us next. We're back after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Hey, Hoosier fans, whether you're looking
Jim Mike's.
Hey guys, how are you? I did not know I was sending something to somebody. How's everybody doing?
Pretty good.
What's new with you, Mike?
Nothing new.
That's the greatest thing, and that's the greatest feeling.
I was mentioning to my wife this morning that I got a appointment reminder for my haircut tomorrow, and it feels like I was like literally just there, and it like takes me back to a year ago when, probably because there was no sports on TV, it felt like every month took a million years.
Yeah.
Now it's like boom, it's all back to going. It's just
100 miles an hour.
Warp speed, yeah.
Weird. It's weird. Back 100 miles an hour.
All right,
It's funny how fast we'll forget that.
Of course, Sam's Restaurants has multiple locations and something for everyone. Sam's Restaurant in Fishers has homemade coffee cakes and much more. Sam's Place in Broad Ripple has wings, tender steaks, and seafood. Sam's Ale House in Carmel and on 86th Street in Indy have a long list of craft beers and all of the right foods to go with. Plan a day on the links at Eagle Point in Bloomington, then stay for dinner at Sam's Clubhouse. Sam's Restaurants, professionals in the art of food and drink. This segment is brought to you by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Here's Jim Coyle.
Welcome back on this Tuesday to Indiana Sports Beat. Of course, that means the great Mike DeCourcy from Fox Sporting News, BTN, joining us, along with Kevin Brockway. How are you, sir?
I am well. How are you, Jim? Kevin?
I am doing fine. Kevin's up and about. We've just been kicking it around this morning. Dick Vitale is going to join us later on, so we're excited about that. Looking forward to that as well. You're getting upstaged for once.
No, I will take that because Dick upstages everyone, and the best part about it is that he's one of the best people. I mean, it could be if he wished, a arrogant guy or so dismissive because he's been so successful for so long, and instead he's the most generous person, has the biggest heart. Can't say enough nice things about Dick.
I was talking about approachable big names, before the show with John, our producer here, and I mentioned Dick, obviously, and Bob Ryan. I know he's a great guy. Really, I could remember a spring training story when I was covering the Red Sox. He's at a sports bar and lets me sit next to him and talk basketball for 2 hours. People like that, it's fun. And of course, you, Mike, one of the more approachable big names in all of college sports.
It's true. It is true. It's absolutely true. Some are absolutely not. But Dick Vitale, he has to be the most iconic ambassador of college basketball. Because that's what he is. He's an ambassador. He loves the game and he loves what he does.
Oh, absolutely. And is appreciative of the blessings he's had in life. He's been married to Lorraine for 50 years. They just celebrated their 50th anniversary with a trip to Maui, which he was kind enough, again, speaking of his generosity. When Mike Krzyzewski, when the news broke, that Jeff Goodman broke a couple weeks ago that he was going to retire, I was actually getting ready to go on vacation for a family wedding, and so all of a sudden that comes down, and so I text Dick and ask if he's got a minute, and then I look on Twitter and he's posting videos from his Maui vacation, and I'm like, okay, like leave him alone, don't worry about it. He won't call back. It's okay. I'll get somebody else. And the next thing I know, he's calling me. And it's like, come on, Dick, you don't have to do this. You're in Maui. It's your 50th. No, he said, no, I'm going to get back to you. And that's just who he is. He couldn't be a kinder person.
John, the producer, how long did I tell you it was between the text I sent out and the time that it was already confirmed that he would join us?
I think it was about 7 minutes.
7. This was yesterday. I'm not kidding. from the time the first text went out until it was confirmed, it was 7 minutes. And I'm just shaking my head. I'm like going, man, I can't get high school people that fast. I'm like, it's unbelievable. But he's a pro. And like you said, he loves life. He loves life. And when somebody loves life, they're just a joy to be around. Absolutely.
Understands that there's joy in life, and he has a great family. Like I said, his wife he's been with for half a century. He's got an amazing career that he enjoys very much, and is in no hurry to give up, even though he's in his early 80s. And I'm happy that I've been able to call him a friend for the last 20 years or so.
What's going on with you? We got the Olympics coming up, of course, or going, and a lot of Indiana guys or guys and gals heading that way. So as always in the swimming, so we got that to look forward to. Hopefully, as hopefully the Olympics can go off without a hitch. Of course, we know that Japan has had some issues with getting people vaccinated and all of that, but I haven't heard a lot about that lately. So I don't know if they're just not telling us or if it's under better control or not.
Well, I know that a lot of people in Japan are not wild about the Olympics coming to their shores, but the reality is that the Olympians who will come to their shores will be almost universally vaccinated, and perhaps universally vaccinated. I can't say with certainty that everybody will consent, but that's the plan, is that everybody that goes there to compete will be vaccinated, so that it's unlikely that they will have problems imported to what's already a somewhat problematic situation. And I think that raises the question of what the U.S. Olympic basketball team will look like for multiple reasons. You're talking about the fact that the NBA season is extended longer than it ordinarily is, that there was almost no off season other than the pandemic enforced off season that took place from March to August of last year. So it'll be very interesting to see who's willing or eager to go ahead and be a part of that team. They haven't had any problem getting Olympians in the past years, but the last iteration of the national team that played in the FIBA World Cup, I think it was in 2019, did not do well, flopped in a tournament that was held, I believe, in New Zealand, somewhere down under, and just flat out flopped. It might have been in Australia, it might have been in New Zealand, but they lost. I believe it was a quarterfinal game to France. And it was a team that was certainly probably, I mean, not to insult any of the players on the team, because there were very good players like Donovan Mitchell, Kemba Walker. But in regards, it's not to say that they are D-level talents. But when you consider the breadth of talent available, you go past that first 1, 2, 3 guys, and you're talking about a D-level U.S. team. You'd have to go through about 60, 70 players before you got to the guys that were on that club. Maybe a few less than that, maybe 40, 50. But in any case, you're still not talking about your 10, 20, even 30 best. Like Donovan Mitchell belongs in that 10, 20, 30 best, but the breadth of the team generally did not. There were players on that team who barely averaged double figures as NBA players the season before. And that's, so I think it's very interesting to follow a process that will be very interesting to follow, to see who becomes involved and who doesn't. Part of me was thinking, I'm happy the Suns are doing well, and because it's a nice story, and it's a, the way they were constructed, it's a nice team. But part of me was thinking, boy, it'd be good if the Suns lost in the early playoffs so Devin Booker could be on the Olympic team. I'm sure Devin wouldn't want to make that trade, but as someone who likes to see the U.S. do well in the Olympic basketball, I was thinking, boy, he would be a really nice looking Olympic player. But he's going to have to make a decision coming off either a finals or a conference finals performance, whether he wants to be involved.
How long does it take, Mike, do you think, to adapt to those, FIBA, the trapezoid lane, the whole thing? It's a little bit of a different game, isn't it?
A little bit, but the American basketball has become more and more like FIBA. It's a shorter game, so the possessions mean more. It hits you faster. It's only a 40-minute game. A lot of the rules that exist in the NBA have morphed over to FIBA, like, for instance, the 24-second clock, like the advance the ball timeout that I loathe so much. There are some things in FIBA that I do like, and one of the rules that I really like is the no live ball timeout rule. That's the best. That one I wish was more a part of American basketball. You want to call a timeout, you tell the scorers table as play is continuing, hey, next dead ball, we want a timeout. That's how it works. It's never, oh gosh, I'm in a trap. Let me get out of this. I'll call timeout. So I like that rule, but it generally it's not that much different other than that timeout rule.
The Olympics coming up, talked about that, and got Lily King, of course, competing in there and competing against some Russians. Now, Russia is not competing are they competing as a country? Or I can't remember. Are they broken up, banned? What's the situation with them?
The athletes that pass tests or that are eligible will be eligible to compete, but they will not be permitted to be Russia. I can't remember what they're calling them. I saw the name because I believe they had a team that was part of the 3-on-3 tournament. And so I can't remember it's not the unified team from 1992, but it's some term that they have come up with. And I honestly can't remember it, but no, Russia as a country right now is not allowed to compete.
Why does the Olympic Committee seem to just go out of their way? It's like they go out of their way to do things, idiotic things like this. You're letting.
Is it idiotic though, Jim? I mean,
the FMA, like what's her name that's going to get to compete. That's been a 2-time drug offender. I'm like, there's no way. They just keep finding ways to beat the test. I think.
Well, I mean, I think that's the question is. For instance, there's an American middle distance runner who just failed her test, and she's not going to be allowed to compete. So
Shelby Houlihan, I'm just reading about that, who she blamed on a burrito.
Yes. So honestly, here's the thing: if there were performance-enhancing drugs in burritos, I would look like Arnold Schwarzenegger at 35. And so I not to cast any aspersions, but I had my share of burritos, and that doesn't really help that much. So I think that it really comes down sometimes to technicalities and when don't forget that it's not just the IOC that has a say, but the Court of Arbitration for Sport that sometimes reopens the door for people to come back through. And I don't know, perhaps at times it's warranted. I mean, everybody gets their day in court, so to speak. And I don't know the case. I remember the rivalry that Lily had with the Russian swimmer, and that part of it was fueled by the fact that she had issues with either testing or the testing process in the past. But I don't remember specifically what it was that happened and why she was allowed to be restored to competing. But remember, there are times when, just like in the criminal justice system, I mean, not every guilty verdict is a final answer. Sometimes that there are procedural issues, or maybe all the evidence wasn't considered, or whatever else. For the most part, if you're out there, you've probably had a pretty fair hearing, and you've probably been tested more than once to make sure that at least when you're out there, you're clean again.
Yeah, you would hope, especially in that at that stage, because you're getting to the point where you have the athletes like Lily King who know they're putting their heart and soul into it, and they're doing it cleanly, and they just want a level playing ground. And but and it's not so much the athletes in some of those countries, but the countries themselves maybe that are pushing that on the. You think back to the Eastern Bloc days and the East Germans and all that. I mean, they had bigger athletes than men teams than our men's teams. It was crazy back then. But yeah, that's just trying to get away from that. And but I don't know that you're never going to get away from sports, because that's part of sports, to be honest with you, is cheating. I mean, look at Major League Baseball today. We just had a World Series champion that cheated their asses off to win that World Series. So it's still going on. You got Tom Brady and Deflategate. I mean, that's part of sports. If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying, I guess is the old mantra.
Well, it's part, but obviously you work hard to try to get it out of it.
Yeah.
And that's the issue right now in Major League Baseball with the pitching substances.
Perfect. Yes.
The sticky stuff for, try to increase your ability to spin the ball. I mean, so that's all going on right now, and something that baseball, one of baseball's real problems over the years has been the idea of what you just said, that that if you're not cheating, you're not trying, and baseball has romanticized that more than any other sport. And every now and then, all of a sudden, those who have romanticized it, get called out, as happened with the baseball steroids in the late 90s and that sort of thing. And now we're back to the idea. Whoever thought that analytics would be romanticized? But spin rate has become such an important part of how baseball pitchers are judged. And now we're finding out that spin rate isn't always a natural process, that it's not just the ability to grip the ball and throw it at particular angles of the arm or whatever, but it's also sometimes how you grip it relative to the substances you use.
Yeah, it's and I think back in the old days when throwing the spitter, or you think of Phil Niekro or Joe Niekro, boy, going through all the stuff he'd go through, messing with people's heads, but way back in the days, I don't think they were throwing as hard. They probably needed the spitter or a little rosin. Today, these guys are in such phenomenal physical shape, and everything has changed. I don't think that they need that, and so they are changing the game with the spin rate and all that stuff. I mean, man, it's crazy what they can make a baseball do with just putting a certain substance on their finger to give them that extra spin. It's nuts. I'm like, wow.
Well, remember, if you don't have movement on your fastball and you're in the wrong place, even really hard, there are hitters out there that can catch up with it. Maybe not 103 miles an hour like Nolan Ryan at his best, but the guys who throw the high 90s, which is a lot of guys now, there are hitters that can catch up to that. And so you got to have good placement, and in a lot of cases, you have to have the ability to make the ball move, either with off-speed pitches or a slider or something like that, or a cutter, and the ability to grip the ball more easily helps that. And that's I think baseball has a real problem on its hands with that, and I think they're only at the beginning of trying to work that out.
Yeah,
and,
I think
there's
ahead,
a
Kevin.
fine line to that, in the fact that you talk about guys throwing harder. You do need some grip though with rosin, because otherwise you're going to have balls slipping out of pitchers' hands and going at their heads. I mean, it's kind of a slippery slope too, because you don't want to deregulate it too much, where you have these guys that are getting a lot of pitches getting away from them. We're already seeing that. Certainly being a Mets fan, Kevin Pillar taking one to the nose and being out 2 weeks because someone let a fastball get away that was 95 miles in the nose.
Well, rosin is legal though. There's a reason that bag's been behind the pitcher's mound for as long as I've been alive. It's legal. You're allowed to do that. It's the other stuff, tacky stuff, that becomes problematic. And they're not doing that so they don't hit guys in the head. They're doing that so they can throw the ball that tails away from the hitter and dives into the dirt, even though it was a strike. That's what they're doing. And we know that that's a problem. And there are a lot of pitchers getting by on that right now. And it's just as bad for the game as steroids. It may not be as bad for the athlete because all they have to do is wash their hands and they're fine at the end of the day. Whereas steroids a little different, sticks in the body a little longer. But it's just as bad for the game, and maybe worse in some ways, because how many guys can you watch strike out on pitches that are unhittable? That if a guy can throw that pitch naturally, good for him. But if he has to cheat to do it, that's not right.
And the biggest complaint about baseball among fans, losing fans, is a lack of activity, a lack of offensive output. And this has made it twice as bad when you've got now 2,000 more strikeouts than you do hits. That's not what people want to come to the ballpark and see, or sit at home and see. They want to see a little more action. So that definitely affects it that way. I look at the standings, Mikey. I see my Reds, after a 9-3 June, are climbing. They're trying to climb or just reach it. And the Pirates, not their year.
Jim, you continue to confuse me with a Pirates fan. It's shocking to me because I actually wore a Reds top on one of our shows.
Yeah, I keep thinking Pittsburgh because you're
pens
and all that. I guess I got that.
That's
stuck
all
in my
for
head.
real. But I spent 20 years in Cincinnati, and I may have said this before, but my wife was the public relations orchestrator of the opening of Great American Ballpark and the implosion of Synergy Field. So
I did not know that.
Yeah. She was in charge
awesome.
of both of those events while she worked at Dan Pinger Public Relations in Cincinnati, and she got the client. She won the business to do that, and so she was in charge of opening a Great American Ballpark, and so all the time she spent dealing with the Reds during those 2-3 years that was operational. She fell in love with the team. She liked the people. She liked the team, and so that became the de facto team of the DeCourcy household. I wrote a column about this in 2013. The Pirates and the Reds were in a division race. I can't remember. I think it was the Cards maybe who finished first, and the Pirates and the Reds ended up in a wild card game. And I wrote an article that day that was published that day or the day before that game about how I converted from a Pirates fan my whole childhood, 71 World Series, 79 World Series, to be a Reds fan, even though it meant playing against the Pirates. And I got a lot of heck for that because people on Twitter called it unnatural. And I compared it to like a romance that you have a girlfriend in college and it's nice, or a boyfriend if you're and it's a nice relationship and it lasts and then it sort of runs its course. And that's kind of what happened with me and the Pirates. It can happen, and I don't dislike them. I did not like the Clint Hurdle Pirates because they were constantly throwing at Reds batters, as I'm sure you remember, Jim.
Was that the game that the former Red who got traded right after the charged into the dugout? Was that Pittsburgh? Wasn't that Pittsburgh? They were playing?
I think so. Yeah, I think that was the guy who came from the Dodgers.
Oh,
right?
Yes. Great player. Kevin, who was it? Oh, man.
Yasiel Puig.
Yes.
Yasiel Puig.
Man,
yes.
That was one of my favorite moments. He just said, I don't care. Just went charging. I've never seen anybody go just charging into an entire team by himself. Yeah,
in 2012, I believe it was, when the Reds were winning the division. They had a thing with the Pirates where they accused Aroldis Chapman of throwing at guys. He's a closer. He didn't come in to throw at anybody. He's trying to get at 3 outs. It's just, it became fairly easy to sort of distance myself from that past. And I still revere the teams that I grew up on, the Stargell and Clemente and all that, but don't have a relationship with the current team.
I've got a bit of trivia. I've been waiting to bust this out on somebody good, and I think I may have said it, but the original site where Riverfront Stadium sat before it was Riverfront Stadium, it included the 2nd Street tenement. That was the birthplace of Roy Rogers. So he was born where Riverfront Stadium sat, and he would always tell people he was born somewhere between second and center field. So there's a little bit of trivia for you.
I did not even know he was from Cincinnati.
I didn't know that, and I was like, wow. Not only that, I was like, man, when I was a kid, I was probably could have sat where he was born. Who knows? Crazy. It's just nuts, that kind of stuff. What's coming up next for you, man?
I am working. Yeah, I've working on the sporting news in advance of the I believe the draft lottery is coming up or something like that. I'm working on the rankings of the top 60 prospects for the NBA draft. And it's harder now than it ever was because you're working on, guys who played a dozen games or 15 games in the G League. The international crop is not great. So it's a harder deal. And I it's interesting because there's like 300 people on the early entry list. And I have a hard time finding 60 guys who look like NBA players. I'm sorry.
Luka Garza, where would you have him at this point?
I haven't gotten to that point in the rankings. I'm sure I can't not put him in the top 60. There just has to be something that he can do in that league. But the nature of his game is not ideally suited to do well in the NBA. So I think somebody's going to give him a shot. And I think somebody will pick him because they're going to want to give him a shot. But what he does in the combine and that sort of thing is going to really matter for him. He's got to show that he can defend on the perimeter to some extent. And he's got to show that he can finish in traffic because it's different going over 6'10" college guy and going over, somebody like Rudy Gobert. So he's going to have to show that he can do that. But he's got such ability in terms of his perimeter game offensively. He understands the game at an elite level. And so I think you'll have to draft him, but I won't be surprised to see him go somewhere in the mid to late 50s.
Mike, I cannot thank you enough as always, man. Make sure you give him a follow at the Sporting News or wherever it is you can find him with Fox and BTN. I cannot thank you enough. Hope you have a great week.
Jim and Kevin, always a pleasure.
Thank you so much. The great Mike DeCourcy joining us, and we'll be back with more right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Whether you're looking for
the Mets are in first, though, baby, with a healthy 4-game lead, no less.
Yeah, playing well. But
Hey, Jim.
Phillies.
Oh, go ahead.
The Braves are sliding.
Over the Fighting Phils, yeah.
Jim, what did you all talk about while I was gone? Because I just want to know in case it was something that I need to let Jonathan know for a show topic. Did you not see my text where I had to step away for a few minutes?
Yeah, but I don't know how long you were gone.
Basically, okay, just the first half of his talk before the baseball stuff. What you all talk about?
USA basketball at the 23-minute mark.
Okay, the Olympics. Okay.
Talking about see, what was the best conversation between us and Mike, Kevin?
Oh, no, we talked about the Olympic basketball stuff was good. We talked about Dickie Vale in the beginning, and I think what else we talked about. Baseball. We talked a lot about baseball, yeah.
So the baseball was what you all was the whole conversation when I came.
Baseball being very, very good to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it talk about baseball and cheating? Essentially.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Well, it's about cheating in general in sports.
Cheating in sports.
Okay. There we go. That's perfect.
We didn't even get into college recruiting.
You ain't cheating. You ain't trying.
Notre Dame lost to Mississippi State yesterday, right, in baseball?
Oh, yeah. The College World Series is going on.
The regionals, yeah. We could talk about college football playoff expansion, too.
Oh, is that it?
I mean, there's still
you're only going to have about 10 minutes, by the way, just to let you know.
Is Chronic coming on or no?
He is. Chronic's coming on 10 to 10:15, and then right after that is Dick Vitale.
Is Dickie V, yeah.
Dickie V, baby. The PTPer. Diaper Daddy, baby.
Kevin, yesterday he did an impression, and I told him it sounded like a hybrid between Dickie V and Donald Trump.
Yeah, that's what it is.
And then I just went straight Trump. That's easy to do.
Funny.
He's a PT peer, baby. He's a diaper dandy. He's the greatest player in the history of the world. There's never been a better basketball player. He's the greatest basketball player that there's ever been.
All right, it's time to bring us back in.
It's like this. How about a new 2020 Honda Civic LX front-wheel drive lease for just $180 a month? Or a new 2021 Honda Accord LX front-wheel drive lease for just $270 a month? Andy Moore Honda Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer.
Come see us at the all-new Andy Moore Honda, now in Bloomington.
This segment is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Here's Jim Coyle.
Welcome back. College World Series is going on, Kevin. Got some baseball. Have you watched any of it?
Yeah, a little bit over the weekend. Notre Dame obviously, was the last great hope for the state of Indiana, but they lost to Mississippi State last night. So those pale cowbell ringing fans in Starkville will be heading to Omaha for the College World Series. I think a bunch of SEC teams are in there. What an event, great event. I've covered 4 of them. Covered the last one at Rosenblatt, which was pretty cool. But that new stadium downtown is just absolutely gorgeous.
It's funny, the teams you'll see in the College World Series. Was it Virginia had to beat Dallas Baptist on Monday in Game 3 to get into the College World Series. Can you imagine if Dallas Baptist, they win that game, they go to the College World Series?
Yeah, they've built a strong program though. It's kind of a weird college because they're like Division I in baseball and Division II and Division III and everything else. But they are a respectable college baseball program. They're one of those teams that they've invested a lot in it. It's like Vanderbilt too. For Vanderbilt was kind of the doormat for the SEC in so many sports, but they really built up baseball, and that's kind of their identity now. They're a baseball school, so there's something to be said for that.
The CWS starts this Saturday in Omaha.
Yes. Stanford, NC State, Vanderbilt, Arizona.
I can't believe it's here already, man. It went that fast. It was like, wow, that was quick.
Yeah.
Virginia will play number 3 Tennessee, the first game, and starts Saturday. See Mississippi State against number 2 Texas, North Carolina State against Stanford, and Arizona against Vanderbilt. Of course, Mississippi State. Who are they coached by?
Chris Lemoynish, right? The former IU coach.
Yep.
And so he gets in. They beat Notre Dame, as I mentioned earlier. NC State, I remember covering a regional in 2012. In NC State, their starting pitcher was Carlos Rodon, who is now with the White Sox. And Trey Turner was their leadoff hitter, who's now with the Nationals. So, that's always a cool thing. I covered some of those Florida teams, Harrison Bader, Pete Alonso, seeing guys that move on, Anthony DeSclafani, who's, pitched for the Reds. It's fun watching those college guys that move on and make something of themselves. And then you see some great guys. I remember there was a guy, Jonathan Crawford, who threw a no-hitter for Florida, and he was in the Tiger system. And, you have one arm injury and you're washed, and that's it. You don't make it. So it's always interesting to see the guys that climb and make it out of college and the guys that don't.
Yeah, Virginia, we're just talking about Virginia making it in over Dallas Baptist. Do you know how they got in?
How?
They were behind in the 7th inning. The 7th inning. And a 2-out grand slam home run from a freshman helped them win that game.
Pretty neat. It's
a freaking freshman hits a 2-out grand slam in the seventh.
Stuff, yeah. I wonder how many home runs Major League Baseball players would hit if they had aluminum bats. Or how many infielders or pitchers would get killed,
They do have aluminum bats.
In Major League, not in Major Leagues. We're talking about college.
Yes. Oh, my God. They would hit the ball. Oh, man, they would hit the ball from Comiskey to Wrigley. They would hit put an aluminum bat in Kyle Schwarber's hands now. If he can hit a 400-foot home run with a wooden bat, what does that equate to? I mean, I'm sure they can figure that out.
I think they did a few years ago. They kind of dulled down the cores of the aluminum bats in college because it was getting kind of ridiculous. I remember there was a kid 20 years ago from Florida State that hit 6 home runs in a game or something. It was just getting out of hand for a while there in college baseball. But that's
the stuff. And then that's the stuff that leads to pitchers cheating. Exactly, and I'm telling you, and because they feel like the batters, those guys have an advantage, and they did. I mean, those bats are an advantage. So now you got I don't blame a pitcher for trying to find a way to get around that because they're like, hey, you're giving them an advantage, so I've got to find an advantage. I've got to do something, and it leads to that is what happens. That's how they get started. Now, Major Leagues, that's different, but.
Well, I think too, and the thing we didn't mention in Mike's interview too is how much of it is fueled by the money that's out there, and the same thing with PEDs. You put up the numbers, you make the money on the second contract. Same thing with pitching. You put up the numbers, you get batters out, you show you're reliable. I mean, these guys are pitching for contracts too. I don't think it's solely help the team win. It's also, there's also some personal gain involved here too in terms of that influences cheating. Because you want to stay in this, major leagues as long as possible and reap the rewards. If you remember, I think it's 4 years to get a major league pension too, and that's a pretty nice, cushy retirement gig. So people are going to do what they can to stay in the league as long as possible.
Absolutely, man. That's for the money makers. It's trying to stay on top of time here. Chronic Hoosier will join us in the next segment, and then of course. Dickie B going to join us. Looking forward to talking to him about the changes at Indiana because he's someone he's been there for all of it too. Not there, but he's seen it from the outside. He's friends with Coach Bob Knight, called many of the games and has seen the transformation and is very much aware of the history and the importance of where Indiana is getting back to. So I'm looking forward to talking to him about that. He's been involved in this game since the 70s. I mean, 40, 50 years of experience from Dickie V. But he is someone who just truly loves the game, man.
Yeah, coached the Detroit Pistons, coached at Detroit Mercy, was a star, before his ESPN career began, basically when ESPN began in 1979, and was kind of that voice of the Big Monday, the Big East hoops throughout the 80s. In its heyday, and and of course, you talk about Indiana. He was in the building for the watch shot, right? He called that game in 2012. He was
in the building for Knight's return.
Yeah, wonder if he got trampled with that, student section coming down on him.
He probably loved it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, they ESPN loves that because they love the visuals.
You know what? I wonder, and I'm going to ask him that moment. What that moment was like for him when he's calling that moment, because can you imagine? Because where Indiana has been at that point, how, being down, the program being down after the Kelvin Sampson stuff and the NCAA stuff, and Kentucky being the most rival that there is, and to come in with a number one team and to do all that. We all know the electric there, but for someone like Dick Vitale, who's just a basketball fan, I mean, man, I wonder where that sits with him, that game. I have to remember to ask him about that.
Yeah, and he was here for the reunion with Bob Knight as well. I mean, he's been at Assembly for some really legendary moments throughout his broadcast career. So we'll have fun with that for sure.
What was the first thing you just mentioned?
The Bob coming back for the Bob
No.
Knight reunion.
Oh, I thought there was another one.
And the watch shot also, yeah.
Oh, the watch shot, yeah. And I mean, I'd have to go back and look to see if he was on the last big North Carolina game and the big Duke game that was just rocking in Assembly Hall. But we got to take a quick break. Chronic is going to join us next, right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Hey, Hoosier fans, whether you're looking for
Watch shot. Hey, Jim and Kevin, who's Jesse Wiggins?
Jim, I know you know this, but I would try and be out by 10:17, like on the dot.
I will be out.
Jesse Wiggins.
Wickens. Hey, Jesse.
Lately, something's changed. It ain't hard to define. Jesse's got himself a girl.
The visor.
Grace Berger. And the USA Olympic team. Played team, you know. Did Grace make the Olympic team?
She made. I don't know if she's on the Olympic team, but she's on. The visor. No, I didn't lose the visor, but it causes makes my face too dark on camera. So
He's got to look good for Dickie V.
I haven't worn the visor in a few days.
I know. I just wanted to say something stupid.
You and Spurrier with the visor.
You got
My
someone
visor,
who
man.
sees you frequently at
My
Yogi's
trademark,
thing.
baby. It's trademark.
Jesse, I see you at Yogi's frequently, Kevin. Yeah, of course, Jesse. That's right.
Well,
There's Chronic.
Probably too frequently.
hey, Chronic.
What's happening?
You just living the dream, brother.
Tell me about it.
Got Dickie B coming on after you.
No way. Get out of here.
Yep.
You betcha.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's first time. I don't know if he's really talked about the Indiana stuff yet, so looking forward to that.
I'll tell you what, you're probably going to have a hard time getting anything out of him. You got Krzyzewski retiring. Coach Cal's resurgent now. Dickie's at overload, baby. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I'll try to keep him geared towards Indiana.
Is Coach Cal resurgent, you think, with these transfers or no?
Man.
He got
No,
CJ
no.
Frederick from Iowa, right? Didn't he? Or who else did he get? He got a bunch of transfers, didn't he?
He's resurgent because he's got two coaches from Illinois. That's why he got resurgent.
Yeah, you
Jim,
got
I'm going to send
mercenary
another
background.
link out. Jim, I'm going to send another link out from your account when we start the next segment with Dick Vitale, so you don't have to worry about sending it out again. To know that Dick Vitale is on the air at that point. You know what I'm saying?
He's not using a link. He's using the phone.
That's never mind. Not to Dick Vitale. Talk about to the Twitter people, to your Twitter. Just say, hey, Dick Vitale's on. So they can, if they're not listening yet, they can go ahead and start listening, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
Oh.
All right, bringing us back.
Eagle Point in Bloomington, then stay for dinner at Sam's Clubhouse. Sam's Restaurants, professionals in the art of food and drink. This segment is brought to you by Remax Advanced Realty, Indie Home Pros team by Cheryl Sizemore. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Here's Jim Coyle.
Welcome back on this Tuesday. You know what that means? It is a Chronic Hoosier Tuesday. And he's with us now. How are you, sir?
Happy to be back.
Happy to be here, man. The weather is awesome. That humidity left town. And my, oh my, was it nice yesterday after that heat wave that came through last week.
Yeah, you know what? We're still early enough in the year, though, where even though it's sticky and, you wear it like a wet sweater, the humidity, I'm still okay with it. We haven't quite crossed the vortex where it becomes a burden. I'm still just enjoying the fact that it is B-Town summer. I transitioned the wardrobe. All the winter stuff's back away. It's nothing but shorts and shirts, and the best time of the year to be in Bloomington, quite frankly.
And we've been talking about getting out and about, going to some sporting events, whether it's been AAU events, the All-Star game, people back in events as we have slowly moved back into that area. And no better time as Indiana is looking forward to potentially its greatest athletic season, I think, in its history as a whole coming up this fall. But we've got a lot of time to get there. The basketball situation is looking better and better each day as a parade. And I asked this earlier to Kevin. I can't think of a time where this much talent, potential talent, is continually coming through. Bob Knight brought guy. He didn't really bring the guys in. They just signed. So they were just done. And then Tom Crean brought a few guys through, but he did a better job of finding some guys, maybe a Thomas Bryant here and there. But this has just been a continuous onslaught of high level talent in a very short period of time, and it's not going to slow down.
No, I think this is a really fascinating time in the Mike Woodson era, because when you look at the transitions we've had among coaching staffs in recent years or recent changes, in retrospect, you see how important getting the right foundation early on is in order to achieve that success. And, Tom Crean, obviously it was really unique circumstances how he came in. It was really more than anything, just get enough warm bodies that you could practice, that you can field the team. But even in that first class, that was, I think his lowest ranked one of all the classes he had, he was still able to put in place some foundational elements that he was able to build upon and create a culture. And, that how imperative that was going forward in the subsequent classes, because when you first come in and you have no tape for recruits to analyze and coaches and families, you're basically selling dreams, you're selling promises, you're selling visions. The rubber hits the road though once you start playing games and you start putting those promises on tape. So to for Tom Crean, for example, in order to maintain it, the importance of having guys like Verdell Jones, Tom Pritchard for that matter, Daniel Moore for that matter, and being able to show them how these guys progressed and developed over the years, and how that then spurns class like Watford, Hulls, Elston, and then how you parlay that forward. You look back and see just how critically important that is. In the case of Archie Miller, obviously, he had to hold the class together once he signed, just so that he would have some freshmen, so that he would have some additional bodies. And how important the Romeo Langford recruitment was, you probably don't get Trace without Romeo. But failure to put more foundational pieces around those early classes that stuck probably proved detrimental to Archie's success here. And I think what Woodson's able to do with this first full class coming in, because even though he was able to retain Duncombe and add Tamar Bates, which was a huge pickup. I mean, I don't know that we'll be able to understate that. How important the 22 class is going to be, how important the 23 class is going to be, that's probably, history says, is going to make or break his tenure here, as far as his ability to get things moving and to build that momentum going forward. Along those lines, though, too, I think it's fascinating that he's pulling in some high-level talent right out of the gates. It seems to be receiving rave reviews from the recruits and the parents. So, the big question everybody was asking, can Mike Woodson recruit? Well, time will tell. He's done so far okay, but I think what we're seeing early returns, they're doing just fine. And it's not just Woody, it's the entire staff they put together. I don't think you can underestimate anybody on that bench and what they bring to this particular effort. And I think that's no coincidence.
No, because if you look at this past Indiana All-Star team that just happened, there was not a single IU recruit on that team, and they had 5 guys that are going to be playing in the Big Ten. That does not happen ever. So you can see how recruiting would have been going, the direction where it was going, and now it's going to be coming back. Not necessarily always with Indiana guys, but with that level, that elite level. Actually, a more elite level, which is the difference of where Indiana has been and where I think that they're now going, because they are going to be able to land the elite outside of state players along with the elite inside the state players, which was not happening.
Yeah, I had somebody pose that question to me over the weekend. I think it was on Sunday on Twitter, asked, how often has this happened where Indiana did not have a commit represented on the Indiana All-Star roster? And a couple years back, I'd actually put together a list of every Indiana All-Star that played at IU. It's not very common. It's certainly been more common in the last 20 years. Obviously, it happened this year, happened previously in 17, happened in 15, 2010, 2006, 2002, 99, 95, 94, 86. And then you've got a massive gap. You got to go back to 64 and then 1942 are the only all-star classes where Indiana did not have a commit on there. So it certainly, I think, speaks volumes to perhaps some of the struggles that the program's had in the last 2 decades, attracting top talent. But I think it also probably speaks a little bit as well to the fact that it's less of a localized or a regionalized talent pool anymore, and it's more national. You look at that 2015 class. Yes, Indiana did not have a commit on the All-Star roster. Who'd they bring in that class? Just a couple of NBA guys. You got Thomas Bryant and Juwan Morgan. So I don't know that that's necessarily determinative, but I think at the end of the day, you always want to see Indiana getting the best out of the state, the best out of the region, the best out of the country. But it's one thing I think Mike Woodson will probably emphasize, as he has since he took the job, how critically important it is when you're building the culture he's trying to, getting kids that come here who understand what it means to wear the jersey, who understand what it means to represent the program, the school, and the entire state. And it just is the importance he places on that. So I don't know that that's necessarily an end-all be-all, but it certainly doesn't hurt when you're getting the best. And Indiana tried. They had a shot at Kaufman. It just didn't work out. I don't know that we ever had a shot with Caleb First, but time will tell how they stack up as this moves down the road with what we got coming in.
What about that balance? So I think that's an interesting balance, Chronic, in that, and you alluded to it a little bit, in that what the jersey means, the front of the jersey means, does it mean more to a player in state versus a player that comes from New York or comes from California? Or how do you transform that to get them to know what the importance of Indiana basketball in the front of that jersey?
It's a good question. And, I think you come in a little bit ahead of the curve, having grown up in the area, recognizing just how rabid, how passionate the fans are, the alumni. You understand what Purdue means when they come into your gym and the pride that should convey when you take the floor. But at the end of the day, that's just competitive nature. And I think if you're going out and you're recruiting not just talented guys, but competitive guys who will fight for minutes, fight against the opponents, whatever it takes to win, I think ultimately that's going to be the characteristic that I'm prioritizing rather than, what it says on your diploma, on your birth certificate necessarily.
We had a quick discussion, and we don't have a ton of time here, but a few minutes. But yesterday, and I saw that it got some attention on social media about how nowadays all the kids during the recruiting visits are taking the pictures in the jerseys and all that and posting it, and then they don't end up going to that school. That drives me insane. I would not want to see every Tom, Dick, and Harry wearing that stuff. And it got started with Charlie Miller started that conversation, and that was his opinion. He doesn't like that. And I'm like, well, that's a former player's opinion. And I agree with him, but I know that it's a different today and all that stuff, but I don't like that. I don't like seeing a kid in this jersey, and then the next week he's committing to X and X team where he's going to be playing, yet those pictures are still out there. It's just, that's not but that's just get off my lawn stuff.
Yeah, we may be showing our age a little bit here. I'm not gonna lie, man. When the kids first started doing it, it's a little odd. But in this day and age, too, man, almost everything you do, you're doing it for the gram. You just are. You're generating content, and I think there's a lot of benefits to it. Not only are you puffing the kids up and you're making them feel good, you're letting them visualize themselves in that position, which is important. But even more so, especially in this day and age of NIL, you are literally melding those two, that name, that image, that likeness with the jersey, the program, the school. And I think that's going to be increasingly a bigger part of this. And then, you extrapolate that further when the kids push it out or the school pushes it out or wherever the content gets released, then you get the fan engagement with it. And I think it gives these kids a sense of just how powerful those wins are behind them when, if they were to choose the school. And at the end of the day, that's everything NIL is about. It's harnessing the power, the synergy between the player and the program and allowing the kids to benefit off of it. And it allows the program to benefit off of it. When kids see the best talent in the country coming to Indiana and putting the jersey on and doing the photo shoots and all that stuff, it creates buzz. And again, I'm not necessarily saying I would want my kid going that route or I'd go that route myself. No different than my kid would never have, a list cutting ceremony or graphics to announce when they're going from 21 to 15 to 11 to 9 or any of that. But that's the world we live in. That's the pool we're swimming in. And, if you want to succeed in it, you got to be prepared to adapt and, give the kids what they want. And anymore, they want to do it for the gram, baby.
Absolutely, man. I hope you have a great week coming up. Anything new coming up this week?
Zach and I got one out last week. I don't know if we're going to touch base again here this week, just because there's not a whole lot going on. I'm personally anxious to see how the Olympic trials wrap up here. Indiana's got a lot of swimmers competing right now. Already got a handful of divers going in. Should have a lot more in the pool here in the next day or two. Just to see what IU's Tokyo contingent looks like. So pretty stoked to see that. And again, like we said earlier, man, I'm really excited to see how this week pans out for Woodson. I don't know necessarily that you see a commitment coming here immediately because often is the case with the level of talent he's bringing in. They've got a lot of high-level visits to take as well. But I wouldn't be surprised at the same breath if you don't see him maybe pop one here. 23 class just opened up today for contact as well. That's a live recruiting class as of this morning. So get a real good sense here early on exactly how effective the new regime is and building the future for Indiana basketball.
Well, brother, I appreciate you as always so much. I hope you go out and have a great one.
Hey, give Dickie V my love, baby. He's awesome.
He is, man. We appreciate you. We'll be back with Dick Vitale right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Whether you're looking for...
Hopefully.
No, we got him. He actually called a second ago, and I told him you were finishing up a segment, and I'm already calling back. So
beautiful. He's the original PTPer, baby. Big hum there. There we go. It's gone. He had to go to the bathroom. No, he's not going to answer.
I hope, man.
Hang up. Yeah, don't let a number play out, by the way.
It's not, yeah. I'll just call. You want me to call back again right now or give it a sec or?
What? Hey, make sure you hear that hum that keeps happening.
It's because I'm holding the line that I'm plugging him into.
Oh, okay.
That's why it's doing
I get
that.
You. No problem.
Let me call him one more time real quick. Should I let him call me back or?
He gave you one chance.
Well, he told me to call him back. That's the thing. Oh, hello, Dick. Yes, I'm here to get you on with Jim and Kevin here in just a second. I'm going to plug you in real quick. All right, Jim, you should be able to hear him now. And Kevin?
Hey, Dick, how are you, sir?
Hi, Jim. Hi, Kevin.
Dickie V, how are ya? Good to
Hello?
hear your voice.
Hello, hello.
You know
Yeah,
Kevin Brockway, of course.
Hello, hello.
Can you hear us, Dick?
I hear anybody, sir.
Oh. Can you hear us, Dick?
You guys hear me?
Oh, my
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
Hello.
He's not hearing us. Just hold the phone to the microphone, I guess, right? Can you do that?
All right. Here, Dick, we're going to try something else. Can you? Well, no, he won't be able to hear he won't be able to hear through going through the speakers.
Okay, whatever you did.
Could you give him a call yesterday on yours? No, that's what I was doing yesterday.
He's not going to be able to hear me or hear Kevin.
We're supposed to be coming back from break in 15 seconds. What do you want me to do?
Fix it.
I don't know what to do. I didn't remember we did this yesterday. It was different because you could hear on your speaker on your phone.
Are you passing
through? I can delay his coming back.
I can hear it. I can hear him. I can hear him just fine.
But he can't.
He's not hearing us.
Let me try something. Let me try one more thing. Dick, are you still on the line?
I'm still here.
All right, I'm going to try one more thing, Dick. All right, y'all go ahead and speak.
Hey, Dick, can you hear us?
You guys hear me?
Yes, sir. How can you hear us?
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you, Dick.
No, I don't hear them at all. I hear you.
Just hold your phone up, and you should be able to hear Kevin and me, right?
No, because I'm coming.
No, not the phone.
And the way that
can you hold us? Can you hold a speaker up to the phone?
So he'll. I guess I can. Let me try this. Let me try this one. Okay. Try again. Y'all talk now.
Hello, Dick. How are you, sir?
Hey. Dick, does that sound okay at all? Can you hear them?
Hey, Mr. Vitale. How are you?
Just hear you.
Hey, Dick. How are you doing, sir? Can you hear me?
I'm having them come through the my headset now. Can you hear them through the headset?
Hey, Dick. How are you doing, sir?
You can hear them?
No, I do not. Don't hear anything but you. Maybe we should just reschedule.
Or he can call back through the link and not use the video.
Okay, Jim or Dick, are you able? If I send you a StreamYard link to this number, would you be able to join? You won't be on video. It will still be your phone, but it's the way that we normally contact our guests instead of using a phone line because we use a remote setup. Would you be willing, if I send you that StreamYard link, to just click on that link and talk through there? It'll work a lot better.
Well, I'm not going to be on video, am I?
You will not be on video.
Because I'm not dressed properly. I didn't know.
No video. It's no video.
No, you will not.
Schedule this really just not. Doesn't seem like you guys got it working right. Maybe we should reschedule.
You want to reschedule?
Yeah,
we can do that.
Yeah,
do it for tomorrow.
Can we reschedule you for tomorrow at the same time? Would you mind trying the link for us? And if that doesn't work, we could try a different day. Yes, and if it shows your video, I will turn your video off.
There's no video. There's no video. Just say there's no video.
There will be no video.
Yeah, we have to
send that to you real quick and before I take you off.
You're going to text it to me? Is that it?
I will send you a text real quick.
God, I can hear him loud. This is plain as day.
All right, he just hung up. So I guess I got to send that to that number he just sent me.
So we got to make up this time, by the way.
Yes,
I hope you're.
Hold on. Let me get him the link. This is why I was worried about this being the guinea pig with the phone line, because we hadn't tried it before.
Well, that's why it should have never been a guinea pig. It should have been
J53. All right, I sent him the link. And if he joins, he joins.
Okay, but we have to come back to the show because I don't know how much time we've lost that we have to make up for now. Are we still in break?
Yeah, I can just bring us back right now, and we'll see what happens.
All righty.
Let's bring us back right now. We'll do that. And then if he joins, I'll bring him in.
At Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry.
Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Here's Jim Coyle.
Welcome back. Waiting to get Mr. Dick Vitale on with us. Looking forward to that. He's a busy guy. He's writing another book right now. That he stays busier than any two humans that I know. 80 years old, and the schedule that is just nuts, and the most approachable still.
And doing Geico commercials, which is kind of funny.
You know, which is funny. I wrote that down as something that I wanted to ask him about. That is so funny because I'm like, wow, they got him to dump that bucket of water on his head. And I'm like, was that really him? Did he get a stand-in? I mean, did he dump the water? Do you think he did? That was, I'm like, wow, they got Dick Vitale to dump a bunch of water on his head? That was nuts.
Yeah. Well, you know, he'll do anything for the cause. You know what I mean? He's definitely pretty good with that. So there's something to be said for that.
Yeah, he's not afraid to laugh at himself. And like I said, just the most iconic ambassador for college basketball that I guess that there's ever been, really, to be truthful, because he just loves the sport, and every time he's doing a game, he's promoting the sport.
Yeah, no question. And as we've discussed before, his ability to convey the passion, I think that's the big thing. And when you have passion for what you do and it carries over, that's how you attract viewers, how you attract listeners. You know, just having a passion for what you do and what you love, and if it can convey through your broadcasting or your writing or whatever medium you're trying to get it through, it definitely attracts people. And I think that's the energy and the passion that he has for what he does in the game. I think is really special.
And to be able to do it this long, and because he started in the 70s, and to keep doing it, it's crazy to be able to maintain that and stay on top. And he's done just that. It's remarkable.
Yeah, no question. And you know, ESPN has had a number of other analysts too over the years. Certainly, Jay Billis, I think, is a guy that is highly respected, very knowledgeable about the game. But
the Godfather. He's the Godfather. He's the Godfather.
Yeah, it doesn't quite.
I think he has.
That
John, is he with us now? Hey, I think we've got him now. Dick, how are you, sir?
I'm trying to make sure his camera's off. Okay, I think he's got it.
Yeah.
He's good.
He's up. He's off. And hey, Dick, are you there now?
Yeah, I'm here right now.
Hey, man, how are you, sir? Got Kevin Brockway here with us.
Well, you're in trouble then if you got Brockway.
We stay in trouble, man. We stay in trouble. How are things going with you?
Well, I just got back from I'm wiped out a little bit. Just got back from Hawaii. We were in Maui and then went to the Big Island to celebrate my 50th anniversary with my wife Lorraine and my family. Took my grandkids, my daughters, my sons-in-laws, and we had a blast. Just got back this weekend.
Yeah, we just had Mike DeCourcy on earlier, and he was talking about that. He thought that you had just gotten back out there from celebrating that 50 years with Lorraine. So congratulations, by the way, on that.
Well, thank you. Also celebrated my 28th birthday in reverse. I still act about 12, though, and I just I have a lot of fun. I really somebody told me the other day, where do you get your energy and your enthusiasm? I said, when you do something you love, man. And I've loved what I've done now for 43 years at ESPN, and prior to that, coaching. All my life, I've never felt that I've worked a day in my life. It's been something that just is incredible when you're doing something you love. It's not like going to work. And I've been very, very blessed, and I don't know. I just hope it keeps going on. I don't know how much longer. I want to go to 100 though.
Man, that's what I say. You are without question the most iconic ambassador of college basketball that there has been and is and will ever be. And it's still going. And that's the amazing thing. We were just talking about that when you joined us. I was like, it's still going. It's amazing that anybody can do that. But man, you have that passion, and Kevin just talked about having that passion is what it takes. And man, you have that in spades.
Well, I'll tell you, Jim, thank you very much for that. I've always tried to be passionate about anything I've ever done in life, whether it be a speaking engagement, whether it be a commercial like I have out now at Geico. I don't know if you guys saw me get my bath with the Geico people, and just, everything I've ever done. And I appreciate so many times people come up to me and just they're so kind. They come up and, hey, Dick, love your energy, love your enthusiasm. And you know what? Right now, my wife got such a kick. I mean, we're in Hawaii. And she says to me, I can't believe that these people coming up to you, knowing all your terms, knowing all, hey, am I awesome, baby? Guy driving us around in a golf cart. I mean, look like the least basketball fan you could ever want to see. He had all my terms down. Awesome, baby. This and that. It was just great to see, and it was just fun. A friend of mine the other day FaceTimed Jamie Foxx. I'm a big Jamie Foxx fan. So when he told him, he said, Jamie, I got a special guy that wants to talk to you. He said he's a big fan of yours. And as soon as I came on, Jamie Foxx goes, wow, am I awesome, baby? Am I a PTP? And, it's amazing how some of that lingo has taken on part of college basketball. And I'm proud. I'm proud of the fact that I've lasted 43 years, because you guys know this business as well as I do, that it's a very subjective business. It's, who likes who. I've seen some great talents not get rehired, and it just blows my mind. But that's probably the biggest thing I'm really proud of, is to be able to survive. I don't know how many presidents and people in charge of basketball, and been there from the day one, December 5, 1979, when I did the first game out there with Joe Boyle. We did the game between Wisconsin and DePaul, number one in the country, out there in Chicago. And if you would have told me then that I'll be talking to you 43 years later and still doing games, I'd say you're crazy.
I've
Dick,
seen
I
that
want to
clip.
know how many, and just quickly on the commercial, how many takes and how cold was the water that I dumped all over you?
Kevin, let me tell you this, Jim. They told me ahead of time, we're going to do 3 takes. We're going to do 3 takes, 3 times you're going to change clothes, and then we'll take the best one. If it doesn't work, we have another plan we're going to do. The biggest problem was when we went to dump the thing on my head, I couldn't lift that thing up at 2 inches off the ground. So they got together, all their geniuses there, and they got a lot of really bright people. They got together and they said, we're going to make it work. When on this word, when you say, I think it was baby or awesome, one of the words, as soon as I say it, when you lift that thing, it's going to be like a paper nothing, because they're going to have a pulley in the back, pull that thing up. Because I'm telling you, there was no way I could get that up on myself. No way at all. But that's what I did it technically, and it was a lot of fun. Great people to work with, and I've gotten more unbelievable mentions on Geico than a lot of things I've done in the world of television, because really, I guess that caught the fancy of a lot of people.
Yeah, I love that commercial. I was like, man, I cannot believe they got Dick Vitale to dump a bucket of water on his head, but they did. So many great things going on, and you were here last year or the year before last now. I can't believe it. But for the return of Bob Knight to Assembly Hall, how special that had to be. I know for the VIU fans, but for you too, because you have called for that for so long. You had become friends with Bob Knight, and that was important just for everybody. The healing that is done, it was just one of the great moments in Assembly Hall history.
Yeah, it was really a terrific thing, and so many people were a part of that start. We certainly got to think about Quentin Buckner and the people in Indiana and former players, Laskowski, all those guys got involved, and Randy Whitman, I guess, and was just terrific to see because really it was scary there for a while. I spent the whole day Friday. I was going to go to the shoot around, but I didn't go because I had the game that night. But I was at Bob's house with his wife Karen and his son Patrick, and we were there talking and reminiscing. And I just really was concerned whether or not it would follow through and this thing was going to happen. And they made it happen. The team doctor got involved big time, and they made it happen. And it was just great to see the kind of love and respect that those people had for him. He quite an unbelievable story, unbelievable when you think of his career and what he did. And, there's been some moments, obviously, that weren't moments that I even think that if he really had to do them over, he'd do them differently. But the bottom line is he loved coaching in Indiana. He loved it. He absolutely, his heart was so broken when that came to an end. And I know it was real tough for him to buy. I've tried to get him back so many times and just wouldn't hear it. He wouldn't hear it. One time he told me, he said, if this conversation, I think it was they were honoring their team. They were honoring, it might have been Kevin, a 40-year reunion or something.
Yeah, for the 76 team.
Yeah, the 76 team. And I got on the phone with him, and I'm begging him. I said, look, you got to come, man. This is special. Don't go nuts. He goes like that. Says only Bob can with a few choice words in there as well. A few we will not mention on the air. If this conversation goes any longer about this, I'm hanging up. And you know what? I said no. He just was so hurt, just hurt. And I think it was great for him to see the love though from all the players, and the reaction he got from the crowd was fantastic.
And now you've got Mike Woodson coming in to kind of get Indiana back to the days that he played under Bob Knight and that style and bring Hoosier Nation back together. Very important. You got Dane Fife in. There's just a lot of big-time pieces that they have put together on this staff.
Well, I think certainly it was a good hire. There's no question. I think right now, when you look at it on paper, it's a terrific hire. However, I thought that, and I'll be honest with you, when Archie Miller got hired, I was a big fan of that. I thought he did such an amazing job everywhere he was, including Dayton, and I thought he was going to be a home run. I really did. And then, unfortunately, things didn't go well. And then, he started to get into a little battle with the media, battle with the fans in a way, and that all backfires. You can't, you can play that kind of game when you're winning big, but you're not winning big. That ultimately, causes you problems, and it became a dilemma. And then, just unfortunately, a change was made there, and here comes Mike, and Mike brings that Indiana love for the fan. Man, he brings that unbelievable feel. He was a great player. They loved him there as a player. He's done well as a coach wherever he's been. I think he'll adjust. I think one of the best things he did was right away hire Dane Fife. I think that was a terrific move. I think that's a positive in every way possible. Because Tom Izzo thought the world of him.
Absolutely. I didn't think he would leave Michigan State, to be honest with you, but he has shown that his unbelievable love for the school. We were talking earlier about kids that don't come from Indiana, but they still have an unbelievable love for their school once they have played here, and he's one of them.
Jim, when you think about, look at Duke and look at Carolina for years. Both those programs have people that work on that sideline that have a tremendous passion and love for the jersey and for the uniform. I don't care. You look at Mike Krzyzewski over the years, his staff included guys like Wojo, included guys like Tommy Amica, guys that love that school, love it dearly. And the same with North Carolina. When you look at their staff over the years, you got right now Hubert Davis stepping in, John Shire. Both guys, I've never heard a bad word about either guy. Obviously, when you lose games, especially today with social media and with the radio talk shows, it's tough. It's tough what you got to deal with. But I'll tell you one thing, going in there, they'll have the support of everyone. And the one thing is the jersey still says Duke, says Carolina, so they're going to get their share of players. And that should happen with Indiana because Indiana fell from – I'm doing a new book right now. We're doing a new book, Dick Weiss and I, about the changes in the game, basically the game I've loved and watching the changes since when I started to today. And some of the changes, one of the things we're doing is the blue bloods, the blue blood programs have the consistency of the recent years. And we talked about Indiana, but Indiana right now is not a blue blood program. It's not. It's not right now because they haven't had any kind of success lately that you'd put them in that category like you can put a Kentucky and a Carolina and a Duke and a Michigan State. But you can't do that right now with Indiana because they've really lost that edge.
Yeah, and hopefully that's the big key of what Hoosier Nation is hoping for, that they get that back, because there's been an attitude that hasn't been there. There's just been a lot of things missing, but not having an Indiana person there has been something that a lot of fans have wanted to see, and that has been the case since Bob Knight left. They kind of went away from that, and there was an intent to get back to that with Mike Woodson.
I think they made a good choice. I really do. I think Mike's going to do an excellent job. I think everything's falling in place right now. Well, remember this, though. There's a love affair right now. You're undefeated. Haven't lost the game.
That's right.
That changes. That love affair changes quickly when the L's pile up. And I'll tell you one thing, in the Big Ten, you get your share of L's. I mean, the league is, you saw last year, Kevin, how tough that league was. I mean, every game was a battle and a war. And certainly when you look now, Michigan has come on big in recruiting. Juwan Howard, certainly the Ann Arbor fans got great news when he announced that he's not interested in any NBA job. And that's a big plus for them.
And then you've got guys like Armand Hill and Thad Matta on staff that can now actually coach a little bit with the rules changes.
Yeah, the rule changes are amazing. I'll tell you this, having Matta there, I'd say that was a big plus for him. Rules out there in basketball, and trying to finalize this. I got to run it, but let me tell you this. I don't know about you guys. I'm very upset about the fact that we got 1,700 kids in a portal, transfer portal. That's not what the rule was for. 1,700. You don't have to go to unbelievable Harvard to figure out, with 350 approximate teams playing, that's like 5 players a team. The whole idea initially was to put that rule in so that you could benefit kids who maybe don't play and now they want to transfer, let them play right away. Well, it's become a recruiting unbelievable situation. It's become a lot of wheeling and dealing behind the scenes. It's become where rules are being broken in their own little way, where word gets out through a certain staff, gets from various staffs rather, gets out to certain people that are close to a player. Hey, let him know if he puts his name in a portal, we're coming after him. And that was not the intent of the rule. And now is out of control. It's like wild free agency. The argument we get, Jim and Kevin, all the time is, well, coaches, they leave, and coaches can coach right away. Why should players be penalized? Well, let's solve that problem immediately. You solve that very simply. If a coach is fired or a coach leaves, let's say Archie Miller's case, all those kids should have the right to move on as well and play immediately. And then you eliminate that argument. And the other part of it is, it's not apples to apples. You got 1,700 players. You don't get 1,700 coaches. You got 40 coaches that move on. It's just not good for the game. There's no stability. And coaches, trust me, I've talked to a lot of coaches. They're not happy. But they're not going to come out in the paper and say it because they don't want to turn kids off who they're trying to recruit. But the bottom line is they're frustrated because you got to manage. Now your new thing is managing a roster, trying to figure who's going to be there, when they're going to be. Are they going to leave tomorrow and go somewhere else, transfer?
Yeah, and then you got to worry about all the freshmen and high school freshmen or high school seniors and all that are being affected as well.
Absolutely, they're being affected. And then what about, have we ever thought about developing a kid as a person? What about loyalty? What about a kid? I mean, think about this. When you lose your top 6 players, top 7, you lose kids that your leading scorer and the leading assist guy in the conference, and he goes to a conference school like the kid did from Tom Crean in Georgia, Wheeler, and he goes over to Kentucky. That's frustrating. That's got to really frustrate coaches. Or you look at a kid, big-time scorer down in Arizona State. It's not like they're not playing. They're playing major minutes. And I just think the whole thing has gotten totally out of whack. In fact, it prompted me about 3 weeks ago to call up. I called up the executive director, and I called him up, and I simply said, Mark, to Mr. Emmert, we got on the phone and we spoke about it. And I said, you know what's going on? I'm going to share this with you. Don't get angry. I'm going to share this with you. There's an ugly feeling among many of coaches. They don't like what's going on out there about several things, the transfer portal and the scenario with schools been charged with allegations, all this jazz over almost 5 years ago and no decisions made. It's just crazy. And he was very honest. He was very transparent. He was honest. He said, right to me, Dick, I'm very frustrated by it. I'm frustrated about several things in the world of college basketball, and I am. You can quote me on that. And I think, they got this independent committee now. They got the NCAA does all the research, all the investigation, all the things, and then now it's got to be redone again because the school goes to this independent committee.
No question. I don't want to forget your gala. Where's that? Now we're post-COVID. Is your gala back on track?
Well, my gala, we just had it in May, and what a night we had. We had it May 7th, and it was incredible. We raised $6.5 million. It was we were allowed to have 500 people. We normally have 1,000, but the Ritz-Carlton said they had to go half because of COVID. We had 500 people, and we still raised $6.5 million for the night for kids battling cancer. And I can't say how proud probably of all the things I've done in my life. We've raised now $44 million. I am hoping and praying that next year at our gala, we're going to be honoring next year the national championship coach, Mr. Drew from down in Baylor. We're going to be honoring Keyshawn Johnson, a Super Bowl champ here in the Tampa area when he played for the Bucks, now an ESPN host. And we're honoring an icon, a legend in the world of tennis, Chris Evert. And it should be a great night. And just, I can't tell you how happy I am that so many people supported. We had like 60, 70 celebrities with us. They all come free. Donations were off the charts on the auction items because people realize it's for a great cause. It's for kids battling cancer. And there is nothing worse than a mom and dad having to face that. So if anybody out there would like to join my team, you don't even have to come to the gala. You could join my team by simply donating and be part of my goal for next year. I want $6 million again because I want to reach the $50 million mark since I started. And every one of those dollars has gone for research through the V Foundation. People, if they want to donate, Jim and Kevin, simply tell them, just go to dickvitale.com and they'll see right there a page where it says the V Foundation, donate for kids.
It's an amazing event. I went in 2009, Dick. I remember when Billy Donovan was the keynote speaker, and what you do for pediatric cancer research and awareness is really amazing, and I think everyone around the country is really appreciative.
Absolutely,
I really appreciate that. I really do, guys. I'm trying to catch up with my time frame. 6 hours difference down here in Hawaii. It takes a while to get used to getting back on a normal line, but we had such a great time there, man. Such a great place to be. I tell you. See that Pacific Ocean, the sun shining. It just made me feel like I was 12 years old.
Do you know Carl Liebert that was on the Valvano board?
Absolutely. Know him well.
We graduated high school together.
He went to the Naval Academy.
Right. Played with David Robinson.
Yeah, played well. Carl, listen to this. I got a quick story, and I got to run. I really do. Carl Liebert, listen to this, invites me to speak in San Antonio. He lives in San Antonio. I was down to San Antonio to speak. David was at the event. And I got up and I said, Carl, it's so great you're having an event here. I think it's great. I want the people to know this, Carl, what a great player you are. I said, let me tell you this. I did the game Navy against Kentucky. It was a great game. And then with Keith Jackson on ABC when Navy was really good with the Admiral. And they got Kentucky on the ropes, man. And I said, between Carl and David, you people have to understand, they had 45 points and they had like 28 rebounds between the two guys. And I said, it was unbelievable. David had 44 points and 26 rebounds. And Carl had 1 point. The place went nuts. David starts laughing his up, but it was true. It's one of the only times I ever gave a player a standing ovation when he fouled out. David fouled out. in the last like 2 minutes of the game and trying to turn the game around. But he I don't know the exact numbers, but I know it was in the 40s, and I know it was like about 10 block shots, about 15 to 18 rebounds, whatever it was. It was one of the great performances, carrying a bunch of guys against a Kentucky team where you had a chance for a win. And I stood up, and Keith Jackson goes, "You really like that guy, don't you?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "That is special, Keith, what we witnessed today, baby."
Keith Jackson and Dick Vitale, man, you talk about two of the greatest ever. Yeah, me and Carl graduated high school together. That's crazy.
Wow. Yeah, Carl's great, very successful businessman. He's been an incredible force, and he does a great job with the V Foundation as well. Small world, man. Yeah, I do know Carl Liebert.
Absolutely. Dick, I cannot thank you enough. As always, make sure you follow him at dickvitale.com. We'll get that up on Indiana Rivals as well, so people can always follow that for your V Foundation. And we're thinking of Bob Valvano as well, a friend down in Louisville.
Yeah, Bobby's battling cancer right now. I was on Bobby's show. He called me. This is amazing, too. Now, 6-hour time difference, right? All of a sudden, it's about 3:30 in the morning in Maui, and my phone is going crazy. My phone is going crazy. What the hell? You know, you think about family. Well, my family was all with me, all my family, close family. But you wonder, and I finally look at my phone, the text messages flooded. Mike Krzyzewski has just retired. I mean, 3:30 was. So the show I went on one show basically. I went on certainly Bob's show. Then I did one interview I did with Mike DeCourcy, guys I wanted to do it with, because I mean I could have been on the phone all day. I was on vacation. I said thanks when I spoke to Mike. I said thanks a lot, Mike. I said I appreciate it. The timing was great.
Man, you are the greatest without question, the greatest there has been, and the greatest ambassador for college basketball there has been. We appreciate you immensely, Dick. Thank you so much, man.
Well, I really appreciate it. I'll tell you one thing, Jim. Now I know I got fired by the Pistons. My backcourt looked like you and Brockway, and I know you guys can't play.
That's right, man. Hey, who's the best Pete? You're your favorite PTPers, though, right?
Yeah, you're good guys, real good people. Isn't that more important in life? You know, to me, you know, important in life is really being good to people. I think the one thing we're missing in our nation so much, is love. We don't have enough love. We got too much hate out there. My mother taught me as a kid. My mom and dad were uneducated, but they had a doctorate of love. And my mom and dad used to say all the time to me, never was Dick, was Richie. Richie, treat people how you want to be treated. And if we all did that, if we all treated one another like we want to be treated, my God, we would have an unbelievable loving nation instead of all this hate.
Absolutely. I cannot agree with you more. Tom Allen, Indiana football, LEO. He lives it. Dick Vitale was the greatest. We appreciate you immensely, man. Go rest up. Get rested up from your vacation. That's usually what happens. Thank you so much, buddy. Have a good rest of your summer, Dick.
Well, thanks, you guys are awesome, baby, with a capital A. Kevin and Jimmy.
Love that.
Dick Vitale joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat. Man, I could not be happier in the world to have that guy joining us. There is nothing that makes your day better. You talk about bringing fun and entertainment. He just does it without even lifting a finger. He is just incredible. Talking to him, he's always full of life. And that is, you can't fake that. Not at 80 years old, you can't fake it.
Some great stories, too, about Navy and David Robinson and the Geico takes and, the commercials. And it's nice to be important, but it's more important to be nice. That's what my grandmother taught me. So that's,
Perfect. Let's take a quick break. We'll come back, talk about the rest of it.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Hey, Hoosier fans, whether you're... Boy, somebody said that...
What?
Said, I thought Jim was going to go off. And I'm like, you don't even know. I was like, I was about to bite some fingers off.
We worked it out.
Oh, yeah. Well, I hate when people insist on the phone is not the way to. Did you hear how clear it was when he did?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
even
my
when he
God.
was coming through and he
it was not
hear you
good.
all,
Yes.
It sounded so much better.
So we got to go till when?
I think it's 11:05 now. I think when I said 11:08, I was forgetting about the commercial time, which is 3 minutes. So I think it's 11:05.
All right.
My God, that was as soon as he joined back. I had such a sigh of relief. I was like, "Thank God he joined." I was ready to get chewed out by old Jimmy after the show somehow.
Boy, I was like, no, man.
Hey, and everybody on here got to experience what it's like,
Oh, it's just rough
behind the
sometimes,
scenes.
man.
Yeah.
Making stuff happen. It's tough, man.
Thank God it worked. And I'm ready to send him a thank you for being patient, because surely that took a lot out of him.
We got to get that up on the sticky threads.
Any more comments on the?
Oh my God! It about took it out of me. I'm still. Whew. Oh man! If that doesn't happen, I'd probably go jump off of a 10-story building right now.
Especially and the thing that was killing me, I was like, man, we've done all this little promoting of it and talking about it the whole show.
Oh yeah, I would have just yeah.
Tim, I haven't even had a chance to look down at my pants yet. By the way, he's over there. He said, asked if I checked my pants.
Man, oh man, beautiful. That was awesome. Hope I think I got to talk to him about everything I wanted to.
Good.
Bob Knight's
stayed out with
return.
us for a while, yeah.
Well, he kept saying he had to go, but he would keep going, which was great. I'm like, going, keep on, brother.
Yep.
And we got that clip at the end. That's a keeper.
Yeah,
John.
Oh, the when he said "you're awesome, baby," all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'll cut that. No worries. Also, we're coming back.
I was hoping
has wings, tender steaks, and seafood. Sam's Ale House in Carmel and on 86th Street in Indy have a long list of craft beers and all of the right foods to go with. Plan a day on the links at Eagle Point in Bloomington, then stay for dinner at Sam's Clubhouse. Sam's Restaurants, professionals in the art of food and drink. This segment is brought to you by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Here's Jim Coyle.
Welcome back on this Tuesday, and it could not be better. Man, what a show. Mike DeCourcy. Now I finish up with the great Dick Vitale. Man, he was just awesome today, too. He seemed fresh. He was refreshed from Hawaii, man. He was in great spirits.
Yeah, and certainly a lot of good insight too. And talking about the new regime in Indiana, which everyone is excited about certainly. And you got Dane Fife and Thad Mata involved, and Armand Hill. You mentioned a standout from the Ivy League. So a lot of positive momentum in the summer, but like you say, it's such a bear of a conference, the Big Ten. You've got to. That's why this summer is so big, and the international trip as well.
And Joseph pointed out that everything he talked about was, he's on it today. He's on it now. He's talking about Dick Vitale, Joseph Sheridan mentioning all new material. Dick Vitale is, he lives in today. It's exactly what he says. He is in touch with everything, and that is pretty amazing.
And the transfer portal too. I mean, that's interesting. He's, and he's aired that on Twitter too. And what it does, what it's done to the game, I think has really impacted the continuity, which made college basketball so great in the 80s and 90s. Just having these, teams that rosters that turn over every year is pretty frustrating. For I think for fans too, because you don't get that attachment. And Indiana has been very fortunate, I think, that its best player is going on its third year at the school, right? Trace Jackson Davis. I mean, how many teams can really say that? They usually either transfer or they. So I think that says a lot about Trace being that guy that stayed and a guy that fans can kind of embrace. And I think he should be celebrated for that, particularly because so many guys are either leaving or going to the NBA.
So it's great to see him stick to the college game. because usually older guys, they kind of will drift around or move around. He never did, man. He had his love and he stayed there.
Yeah. So that's we would call it a great show, and we're getting a lot of nice little accolades here today about it. So
well, that's what happens. Kevin Brockway, no Twitter. What's that, man? I'm not sure.
you can find me at Kevin Brockway G1 if you want to find me.
Yeah, find him right there. So what do you have coming up next, by the way?
Yeah, no, I am working on a story about name, image, and likeness, in particular, just where the Big Ten stands with regards to state legislation, which states are pending, which states aren't. Indiana obviously is not one of those schools, and just some reactions back. I had a chance to talk to Tom Allen last month a little bit about that. So kind of a story in the works on that. I interviewed one of your co-hosts, Charlie Miller. So that story coming up down the pike. Some on Cameron Buckley for tomorrow. So we've tried to stay busy. You know what I mean? Another day, another dollar.
I hear that. Again, we mentioned earlier, Kyle Filipkowski, Justin Taylor should be on campus in Bloomington right now, beginning their visit. Or actually, I think they arrived yesterday. So, yeah, the visit's scheduled June 15th and 16th. Both players expected to have arrived yesterday, so the visits are today and tomorrow. Taylor of St. Anne's Belfield is ranked number 54 in the Rivals 150 class, 22 rankings, small forward. And Filipkowski, big dude, 6'10", 230 from William and Monson Academy in Massachusetts. So there were those two guys. Taylor's a 6'6", 205-pound small forward. So looking at all kinds of talent, man. Lots of guys have been through. I mean, that's 5 guys that have been through here in the last 5 days.
Yeah, no question. And it's going to be interesting to see. I think there was a 2023 kid that just mentioned Indiana is going to be.
That was a Fears kid that was here.
Yes.
Yeah, he was just visiting. This Taylor kid, he's one of the better shooters in the country. He's being recruited heavily by a number of big-time programs. But Jamie Shaw from Rivals said that he's a shot-making wing with good size, a lot of value in that type of player right now. It sounds like a Miller Kopp, maybe a higher-end Miller Kopp. A lot of value in that.
Yeah, and Jalen Hooks was the one that I just retweeted, top 50 sophomore from the Indy area.
Yep. So there's just so much out there, but coming through Bloomington, that's the most important thing. You can get them on campus, and now getting them back here is a lot different than before. I don't think the previous regime understood the value of Indiana. They didn't understand the value of Assembly Hall, what it means. You look at Miller Kopp. I remember talking to him when he was on the show. He talked about coming out of the visitors' side locker room, how big of a deal it was. So if it's a big deal for a visitor to come out of a locker room at Assembly Hall, what the hell do you think it's like for an IU player? It's a big-time deal. I promise you. You talk to any of these former players, those lights go down, man, and that crowd, it gets so loud. It's different. It is different.
Yeah, and we were missing that last year with the pandemic, right? Playing in these empty arenas, and who knows how much it impacted the home record and particularly the energy for Indiana. I mean, do they lose at Rutgers at home this past season if they have the crowd behind them? A lot of these close games. So I agree when Dickie V is on, you just let him go.
Yeah, and when he was talking to Mark Emmert, and Mark, what did he say? Mark said, yeah, he's disappointed with some of the things that are going on. I'm like, well, it all happened under your watch, my brother. But let's see. How do you get information, stats, scores from the two Bahamas games? Well, you can follow Indiana Rivals because Indiana Rivals will be there. No streaming. I cannot believe. Maybe I should go just to stream the games, man. Is that legal?
Yeah.
I mean, I will stream the games. I will stream them for you. You can watch them. Make you follow me on Twitter.
There might be a rights issue there. You never know.
Well, who's got the rights? Nobody's playing the games. If no one's covering it, what rights are there?
You can probably do Twitter updates from there. So you're definitely going, or is Alec Lashley going?
Rivals will be there for sure, and I would like to go, but we'll see. Let's see, Bobby. Joseph Sheridan, Bobby Sheridan here, Jim. Joseph, just my legal first name. Oh, okay. Hey, Bobby. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. Rivals sends Jim there for a business. No, I wish. That would be nice.
I've been there before. It's beautiful. Yeah, I was there for in 2015.
Make Laskowski pay for it. They take him. We're about out of show again. It's unbelievable. Let's see, because your producer didn't include his Twitter handle on the screen, just his name. Oh, there you go. So got that worked out. Let's see. Steve still worked out. Chill good. Yeah, Dick was great. All right. Just getting 4 more comments. How big is it for a visitor to beat Indiana at Indiana? Big. Purdue players have experienced that a lot lately. Yeah. John Laskowski told me a great story about Bob Knight speaking to the team when he came back. And he said, you know you're playing? You're effing playing Purdue. He let him know. He said it was looked like a flashback, man. He saw that and started talking about it. But great day, man. I cannot tell you how much we appreciate you. It's Kyle Schwarber on fire for moving the leadoff spot. 3 home runs over the weekend. Boom. Pete Clausen says he looked into 5 days there with games added. $8,000. Woo! We'll have to find out about that. Let's see. And last comment, love what Dickie B said at the end. Certainly what our country needs more than anything. Yeah, great having Dickie B on. Man, it was incredible. So awesome. Great having Mike DeCourcy. And, of course, our good friend Kevin Brockway and Chronic Hoosier. Great day. Man, we got to follow that up tomorrow and do some more. But you guys go out. Have yourselves a great Tuesday. Until tomorrow, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.
See ya. All righty.